Hello, my name's Taylor, and I did this case presentation. I hope you can see it. If not, you can just follow along in the PowerPoint I attached to this. So, the case we had to do was over the Allied Medical Waste Transport, and we will first talk about just the introduction of the company. It started in 1988, and what they did is they specialize in the disposal of biomedical waste. In the medical field specifically, they've grown to be the largest provider in Oklahoma, and because of that, they decided to venture out and go to Denton, Texas, and open something up there. And what they learned is they gained a lot of business in the hospitals in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They had 23 hospitals, and they disposed 150,000 pounds of waste per month. After they did that, they continued to serve there and in Oklahoma, and then they expanded to Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Colorado, and Wyoming. One thing that makes this company unique is they have a piece of equipment. It's called an incinerator that can dispose up to 100 tons of biomedical waste per day, which is makes sure that they can get all the waste that they have disposed in a proper time. They have a very qualified leader. He or she is an environmental attorney that got the attorney license in California, and they have a master's degree in hazardous material. One thing that we look at, I work at a bank, and one thing we look at when we're seeing if a company is, developed, is if they have 10 years in the service and if they have very qualified managers. And if I was looking at this as a credit analyst, I would say this company is very stable. They've been in business over 15 years, and they have a very qualified leader that has led them to success. One other thing is that they really care about the safety of their people. They put them through extensive training to be able to handle the biomedical waste that they deal with every single day, and they're a solid company. Which brings us to the first question, and it is, what is the major problem or issue that this company is facing? So this company has come to the realization that there isn't a division that's for veterinarians that dispose of their waste. They have the same biomedical waste that hospitals have, or very similar, but they don't have a place to go to dispose of it. So they've realized this problem, and now they want to give a solution. So what they did is they have two employees. It's Rick Stewart and Joan Craig. Rick he's been with the company since they started, and he is going to be the future sales representative. What he specializes in the company right now is sale capacity and in new accounts. So that's good that they put him there to kind of open up this new division. Joan is going to be in charge of operations. She was formerly employed by another biomedical waste company, and she helped that company rank first in sales and service, or she ranked first in sales and service in the company, and she helped that company expand and grow. Their kind of business plan, or what their approach is to start small, learn the business, and then expand, and we'll talk more about that later on in the presentation, on whether that's what they should do or shouldn't do. So the next thing I'm going to discuss is the analysis, and what I'm going to go through is the organizational vision or mission, what is the objective, and then I'm going to talk about the SWOT analysis, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. After that, I'll go through the competitive analysis, what is the competition like in this area, this market, and will they be able to compete? And then after that, we'll go through the financial analysis, and how I did that is I calculated the operating profit margin, and we'll talk about that. And then after that, we'll do the implementation issues or problem. What are the issues that they're going to face if they go forward with this? After that will be the evaluation and control procedures, just kind of evaluating everything we talked about above that, and what are the goals for this company. And the last thing is we're going to answer the question, what are the strategic implications of the above analysis that we're going to do? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the organizational vision and mission and objectives and the current strategy. So like I mentioned, Joan and Rick, their strategy was to start small, learn the business, and then expand. I disagree with that. I think they need to flip the two things. I think they should learn the business first, start small, and then expand. Their objective, we'll go into more detail about why I think that later on, but the objective is that the veterinarians do not have to dispose of their biomedical waste. It's not a law. It's a law for hospitals and medical facilities to dispose of it because it's harmful to the community and to the environment, but it never states that veterinarians have to do the same. So the objective would be trying to get veterinarians to volunteer to use this service. The next thing is a SWOT analysis. I know you probably can't see this on this screen, so I hope you have it pulled up on the PowerPoint, but the strength in this would be a newer market, which would mean the competition would be very slim, if any. Another strength is this company's well known in their biomedical waste disposal, so their name's already out there. There's a lot of people that already know of them, so word of mouth is going to be real big for them. And another strength is that their machine that they have that disposes of 100 pounds of biomedical waste, it can also service the veterinarian division as well. Some opportunity or weaknesses is that this is a new market and there's no like historical analysis that they can look up and compare to see how other companies have done, because there's not really any companies that specialize in this division. Another weakness is that veterinarians are not required to dispose of their biomedical waste in this kind of fashion. Therefore, it's going to be hard for them to convince veterinarians to spend an extra $30 a month plus however many cents per pound of waste and spend that extra money, put aside extra money to go for this service. So that's going to be a weakness in this. An opportunity they have is that they could be one of the first companies to do this, so it would give them a major advantage, and it would allow them to expand their markets in the future. They could also use this market to make a point to the veterinarians to help the community and make it cleaner, make it go green, as they say, and to just better the world around them. A threat that this problem and solution is that, like I said, veterinarians are not, they don't have to get rid of or dispose of their biomedical waste. So if AMWT, they could lose money and time for investing in something that's doomed from the start. The next thing is the competitive analysis. Like I mentioned, there's not a lot of competition. This is a new area, but one thing that is competitive is the autoclave, and that's one way that they can dispose of their biomedical waste. And how that works is they use a steam sterilizer that gets rid of all the harmful elements, and then it disposes in a landfill, which is not much better than just, I don't know, it's just, you're just throwing stuff into the land and leaving it there. So one thing that they can use to compete is go green. By going green, they're making the community better. People are knowing that they want to make the community better, and therefore they're going to want to use this service, the veterinarian service. One other competitive analysis that I have is that they can expand to more states as the demand increases. If this does just pick up and move forward, then they can expand to other states that maybe they're in. Another competitive thing is that their other company, their biomedical waste company, could expand with them also by getting the veterinarian division big in other states that the main corporation does not service right now. They can move that one in there as well and get their name out there with that company. So on the financial analysis, I decided to calculate an operating profit margin, and this ratio is going to be helpful to determine the future of the division because it'll help show how strong and profitable a company's operations are. What you do is you take the net income after taxes, so what they're making in the service or what they projected in the service, and you divide it by the total sales revenue that they've generated in the first year. And If you have a high operating profit margin, it means that your company is going to be in good position and that they have a strong net income, that all their sales aren't going towards expenses. They're making a lot off this company. If it's low, they are reaching that point where they cannot service the expense cost. So we want a high operating margin profit. The average operating profit margin for a market like this would be environmental waste and disposal kind of market, and the average for that was about 11%. So if they can reach anything over 11%, it's really good. It's looking really good for them. So what I did is I took the projections that were in the case and I did the formula for year 1, year 2, and year 3. And in year 1, it came out to be a 20.24% operating profit margin. Year 2 was 27.79% operating profit margin. And year 3, it was 33.77% operating profit margin. So all these numbers are really good. They're way above the market ratio or profit, the market number. So they're above that. So it's looking really good that they should just go forward with this operation. So next we have the implementation issue and problem. The big problem is, how do they plan on getting 30% of the market that does not absolutely need their service? And the 30% comes from the year 1 projections. They use 30% market penetration. That's just what they went with. So I think a way for them to get that 30% is they need to have a really good marketing strategy. Marketing goes a long way. It's kind of the heart of a company. It's how you draw people in. And they're going to have to use a marketing strategy to get the commitment from veterinarians, and talking to customers, getting customers to kind of be like, hey, why aren't you going green? Why aren't you helping the community? And kind of just building off that, I really think the marketing strategy should be go green for this company in this division. So next is the evaluation/control procedures. The evaluation is that even if they get 30% of the market penetration, that puts them in really good shape. After doing the operating profit margin, it put them at a 20.24%, which is, like I said, way higher than the average for the industry that they're going in. So marketing is the key. The controls, it's kind of like, what is the goal of the company? The goal is obviously 50% market penetration in year 3. That's what they have in the projections. And that seems reasonable if this company does pick up, like I think it will. And one thing about having a goal, you have to have a goal in a company, because if you don't have one, you're really not aiming for anything. You're just kind of staying in a straight line. If you have a goal, you have something you're reaching for. So it's really good that they have that 50% in year 3 to kind of reach for. So the question is, what are the strategic implications of the analysis that we just discussed? So the main thing is find a reason why veterinarians should use this service. And like I've mentioned, I think the best thing to do is promote the go green. I think they need to imply that into their marketing strategy and kind of base their marketing strategy off going green to kind of draw the veterinarian division to success. What are the alternative solutions to the problem issues? I came up with 3 different solutions that they could go through or go for. The first one is AMWT could focus on growing in their biomedical waste department and forget about the veterinarian division. The second one is AMWT could take more time to focus on the marketing side of the veterinarian division plan and have proof that they will get business from the service. And the third one is AMWT could start the veterinarian division and hope for the numbers they are predicted in the projections. So solution 1 is just focusing on growing the biomedical waste department. Some pros is that they can expand to new states. They can grow outside of where they are right now and just focus on putting money that they could use somewhere else into their company that they already have right now. They could build bigger facilities, have more customers. They could really just improve that more. Some cons of this solution is that they could miss out on a big opportunity in being one of the first people to have a veterinary division for bio-waste or biomedical disposal. The second solution is to focus on marketing for the veterinarian division and have evidence of success. Some pros is that they would have some reliable data that could help them be successful. They would research the veterinarian division, and since they don't know much about it, this would probably be the way to go, because you got to research something if you don't know anything about it. They could be the first company to offer this service, therefore have a head start and be one of the top sellers of this. The cons is that it's going to take time to do all that research, to learn the market, to learn how to get the market successful. It's going to take time, and it's going to take more money. And what I mean by more money is I think they need to put more money towards advertising and marketing. They've only been putting aside $6,000 for year one, and I think they really need to focus on the marketing strategy, marketing and advertising and research, and that's going to take more than $6,000, I believe. The third solution is go forward with the veterinary division and anticipate projections are accurate. This one, the pros are they'll be the first ones into the business, so they're going to control the business if it's successful, and they won't have to pay as much money for research costs. The cons are that this is not a required service, so they're kind of taking a risk jumping into a service or a market that they know nothing about, and they don't know if it's going to be successful. They're unsure of what could happen. So the recommended course of action that I think they need to do is solution 2, and it is AMWT could take more time to focus on the research and marketing side of the veterinarian division and have evidence they will get business from the service. Starting a new business is risky, especially in a market you don't know anything about. So I really think that they need to do a whole bunch of research before they just jump into it. They need to send out surveys to veterinarians. They need to call veterinarians. They need to ask them, like, is this something you're interested in? If not, then okay, check. If so, yes, that's going to make sure they get that 30% market penetration. One thing they need to market while they're doing these surveys is that make the world a better place and safer place and go green. Going green's real big right now. People will switch to different companies just because they're going green. In fact, I was talking to my mom about this case, and I said, Mom, like, you have 3 dogs. If you learned that your veterinarian wasn't helping the environment, what would you do? And she's like, well, I would probably try to find one that would. So then I asked her, what if there was a veterinarian right next door that did that? She's like, I would switch over. So a lot of people in the world today want to go green. In fact, the big problem that talks about in this case is that biomedical waste was washing up on the shore of New Jersey, and people threw a fit. The media blew it up, and it caused a lot to happen to help the biomedical waste disposal be a requirement. Like I mentioned, they only have $6,000 towards marketing and advertising. I changed that number to $30,000 just to see what the number would pull out for the operating profit margin, and it still put them above the industry average. It put them at 11.86% in operating profit margin, and that's putting an extra $24,000 towards research, towards marketing, toward advertising that they can use. They can definitely use. So the implementation plan. The plan that I wrote up for this company to go forward with is, first they need to research. A quote I found, or a fact I found on smallbusinesses.com says, in order to take any business idea to the next stage, it is essential to prove using reliable information that the idea is wanted or needed by the target market. If you are putting a product into the market that's not absolutely needed, you don't know, you're really taking a risk by some people might not even buy it if it's not something they need. So this product or service they're putting out there is not absolutely needed. So they need to do the research necessary to find out if veterinarians are going to use this or not. The next thing they need to do is make the budget change with marketing and advertising. A quote I found on SBA.gov says, as a general rule, small businesses with revenues less than $5 million should allocate 7 to 8% of their revenues to marketing. So 8% of $286,551, which is the sales revenue predicted for year one, is $22,924.08. I said they need to move it up to $30,000, but if we're going to follow this fact made by SBA, then their total amount of marketing and advertising should be $22,924.08. And I have on the next slide, kind of like the financials, I calculated with that in it to show the operating profit margin with that number. The next thing that this company needs to do is they really need to market and advertise the going green. A quote I found says that surveys consistently show that more than half of consumers prefer to buy from companies that are environmentally friendly. So like I said, my mom would switch over. It looks like a lot of other people would as well if they knew that one company was bettering the environment than another one. So that's something they really need to push. So I think the implementation plan needs to be to start small, and then after they do all the research, start small, and then expand with success. So on this page you can see the veterinarian division projections that they did, and I just kind of changed the marketing and advertising, as you can see highlighted in the blue. I changed it to 22 or 8% of what their revenue was. So in year 1 it's 22,924, year 2 30,565, in year 3 38,207. And by doing that, you can see down here the operating profit margin in the green, highlighted in green, is still well over the industry average. So they're doing really well if this is what they can hit the first 3 years. So in conclusion, the problem that we started with at the beginning was, should they expand their business and start a veterinarian division for biomedical waste disposal? Yes, they definitely should. They're going to be new into this division, so they're automatically, if this is successful, then they're going to be the first ones in it, and they're going to get their name out there, and it'll be one of the only names out there. So why they need to do this, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this presentation, is that this company has a good background. They've been operating for over 15 years, and they have really good management. And this new division is going to be led by 2 very qualified managers that specialize in these areas, specialize in new accounts, specialize in hazardous waste disposal. So they have the qualifications to be successful. What they need to do, though, instead of at the beginning where they said to start small first, then learn the business, then expand, they just need to switch around the first 2. They really need to learn the business first, research it, learn everything about it, how they're going to be successful, what they need to do to be successful, who's going to help them be successful, who are they going to get to be in their business. And then after they've gathered up all the research that they need to start small. They don't need to just jump out there and think they're going to get 100% of the market the first year. Their projections are pretty accurate. They need to start at 30% or hit for 30% the first year, then 40%, then 50%. They need to gradually expand, and that's what I have. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching.